Guys, I made a video a while ago saying I thought this could be the Egyptian bombing, and I still feel that way just because the boy and the mother and the scarab beetle seem to represent Egypt, and then obviously, you know, like this is more like a nuclear explosion, um, with the whole wave coming out, but maybe that's just a way to kind of throw it off a little bit. I don't know, or maybe this part hasn't come to pass yet, but I do feel quite strongly because of the scarab beetle there that it's an Egyptian kind of thing. Also with the marking on the eye, that's kind of an Egyptian thing as well. They used to put stones on the eyes, stop them from opening and stuff like that. So I haven't managed to find anything that links to the kind of the African side of things, um, or this man drowning in sludge. But I do feel that this scene with South Korea, this girl representing South Korea, I do think that's a correct interpretation. What I know is that during the time where South Korea is waving their white flag, which is representing peace, no war, diplomacy kind of thing, you've got this skeleton hand, and it's the left hand, and the ring is a diamond ring, and it's on the third finger, which is the wedding finger. Um, so if that is to be linked to real world events, then at the moment we've got Prince Harry and Meghan Markle with the royal engagement. And I've also made a video a while back about how I believe Prince Harry is represented in this video, but I'm not going to go through that now. I just wanted to point out the fact that we've got a royal engagement going on, and we appear to have an engagement ring on this figure of death's finger. But then also, moving on, but just before I move on, the engagement was announced on the 27th of November. The proposal was earlier in the month, but we weren't told about it really until the 27th, 28th of November. And then 2 days later, or one day later, depending on which day, 27th or 28th, the engagement was announced. North Korea launched their ICBM. So I feel like this part is now talking about after the engagement, if that's what the wedding ring on this finger represents. And what's interesting is 1st of December, so today, we've got a report here. North Koreans are celebrating the latest missile launch with fireworks. And as you can see, the fireworks going off in the background here in the video, it has a similar look to the fireworks that are going off in the background here. I mean, fireworks usually look the same way, but if we're looking at the engagement ring, the engagement with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and then we've got the fireworks going off in the background, and that we've got the fireworks in North Korea after their ICBM launch, it appears to paint a timeline that is currently being fulfilled. So immediately after that, we go onto the scene with the Antichrist coming, and we have that throughout the video. So I feel like that's a simultaneous event that's happening. The Antichrist is constantly being brought forward throughout the events that are taking place. But then after we're shown the next scene, which I believe is the next part in the timeline, we're then shown the 12-3 in the eye. So I agree with JK Bugout that 12-3 is looking very significant according to this video. What happens on that day? Maybe nothing, maybe something. If something is going to happen, it could be as terrible as a nuclear launch or an EMP strike, or it could be an earthquake or volcano or some sort of major storm. I don't know, but it looks like 12-3, there may be some significant news that happens. What happens, I can't really tell you, but it looks like something significant is going to happen, according to this video, if that is representing 12-3, which I believe and we believe it is. Underneath the eye, we've got what looks like the word chaos, is C-H-A-O, I can't really make out the S going in there. Tried to make it out on other scenes where it shows this part of the eye, but I still can't make it out. It could be chaos, it could be chaotic. This word down here, if it is a word, I can't really make out either. It looks like you could get a much better view of it. Not there. Let's go back a little bit more. So, you know, I can't really make it out. If you guys want to have a go, you know, feel free. But I just wanted to point out the two things that seem to be in sequential order. So South Korea, diplomacy, all that going on, and then an engagement, if that's what the engagement ring on the figure of death's hand represents. And then we've got fireworks going on from the background. And we've got the North Koreans celebrating the ICBM launch. And then we're showing the Antichrist coming forward as he is throughout the video. But the next scene after that, which could be, again, in sequential order, looks like it's showing us 12-3 in the eye. And if that's correct, it looks like what is scheduled for 12-3, if it represents the 3rd of December, it looks like it could be chaos or chaotic, something happening that causes trouble. So after we're showing the 12-3, the next scene that we see, after the Antichrist is shown coming forward, we're shown the figure in the mirror saying something, and I think I've managed to catch on to part of what he's saying. At least it seems that way. I've slowed it down so that you can see as well, but what I think he's saying here, that to me looks like the word watch. Because of the way the mouth moves, the teeth are gritted together, the lips are separated apart, and that happens when you say the word watch. Especially when you get to the ch part of the watch, your mouth kind of makes that shape. So I think he's saying watch at that point. When his mouth moves into the O shape, there's a few sounds that you make when your mouth makes that shape, and one of them is all. So when you say the word all, your lips move forward and your tongue moves back in your mouth, so all. So it looks like watch and then all. They're still saying the word all here, and then he moves straight on to say another word, which his lips press together to say. So that looks like he's saying the word missing, and because after his lips press together, they separate and his teeth are shown, that happens when you say the word missing. So just to kind of go, he's saying the word all there, I believe. So just bear with me here and have a look. Watch. Obviously it's in slow motion. All missing. See the thing there? Scream. And then he goes on to say what I think is the correct interpretation as 1-2 bite. But I really feel strongly there that after we're shown the 12-3 in the eye, he then goes on to say the words watch all missing. Now you guys can have a go at that as he's saying the words. Try them out yourself, which is what I did. Moreover, I used to play a game when I was younger, where I used to cover my ears with my hands and try and read the lips of. It was my younger brother. I would try and read his lips, without trying to hear what he was saying. We used to play stupid games like that, like when we used to go to school on the London Underground tube. We used to try and memorize the stations. There was probably about 30 stations, and we used to try and memorize them from one to the end. So we'd give ourselves like 10, 15 seconds to take in as many stops as possible, and then we'd have to close our eyes and recite them back. We used to play a lot of silly games like that, but I guess they come in handy at some points. So I think, as I said, what he's saying there is watch all missing. And we'll do it one more time. Watch all missing. Now that's in slow motion, so I feel like you may get a better sense of what I'm saying if I put it into, but it will still be slow motion, but not as slow. So let's have a go now. You see it? I feel like it's correct. I feel like that's what he's saying. Watch all missing. What's missing? I don't know. There's been one rumor. Obviously, there's the thought of people missing that comes to my mind straight away. But the other thing that I feel like could be missing is gold. There's It's not a rumor. It's basically just my thoughts. I haven't really heard about anyone else saying it, but I feel like something's going to happen to the gold. Maybe in the Federal Reserve, somehow it goes missing. Something happens. That's just one interpretation, but I feel like for some reason I have to mention it. Gold missing, people missing, all missing. Something's missing is what I'm interpreting from what he's saying there, and that either occurs on 12/3 if that's what the marks in the eyes represent, or after 12/3, maybe not at all. But I felt like it was worth letting you guys see that I believe that he's saying watch all missing there. Then he moves on to say 1-2 bite, and it seems as if we're in a timeline kind of thing going on here. Immediately after that, we're back to the Antichrist, and it feels like obviously we're underground with him at the moment. But the scene that we're shown after that, if it will allow me to move on, I'm going too far now. So the scene that we're shown after that is the scene with the lady in the tower, and I've gone over. She's had a lot of coverage, but again, I just wanted to point out the fact that we don't know if these things are going to happen or when these things are going to happen. It's a rather disturbing scene, but I'll just leave it at that. So she's got a bit of decency. The five marks are all over the place. I don't know if that represents a date, a time, or years, because this video was made in 2012, and if this video is predicting events to happen in 2017, then obviously that's 5 years later, and we have a lot of attention drawn to number 5, and that could be just signifying, 5 years after this video made, these events happen. Again, that's just an interpretation. I don't know if it's correct, but it could be, and that's the main point of it. It could be. So that's where we go, and then after that, we're shown what appears to be either a government institution or Wall Street, and they basically evaporate. They're gone, missing, if you will, all missing. I don't know if it is depicting Wall Street. What is in the boy's eye does read stock markets or markets plunge. That could be because of an attack on Wall Street. Again, I'm not exactly 100% saying that that's going to happen or that is the case, but it does seem like a likely interpretation, especially when you link it with other videos that have things like Broadway, Circle, Natural History, Wall Street, looks like Parsons or Madison's Church, Civic Street, and this is the only one I can't make out. You don't really get a clear shot of it. What I can see over here is the word West, and then I can't make out the word that is on this side. So if you're a New Yorker and you know what that could possibly be talking about, something with the word West in it, something with Sons Church, something with Circle Broadway, please feel free to comment. But I just wanted to point out because I found it interesting that they could have pretty much put anything in that scene because they're folding, space and time. But they decided to put the names of a few well-known places in New York, and also if you notice on the inner circle, I'll just let it play a little bit more. You'll see there's an S here, there's a P here, there's a C here. These two are kind of cut off, so I'm not exactly sure. That could be another P, or it could be a B or a D, I don't know. Looks like an S and going up in something else.
North Korea and the nuclear threat from North Korea right now. Right. You offered a pretty dire warning earlier this week that the United States is headed to war if things don't change with North Korea. Right. Senator, what is next here?
Well, if they continue to test missiles and perfect their missile technology so it can deliver a nuclear weapon to the United States, they would have crossed a red line that President Trump drew. Whether he should have drawn this red line or not, he did. He told the North Koreans and the Chinese, I'll never allow you to build an ICBM with a nuclear weapon on top to hit America. I'm not going to contain the threat. I'm going to prevent the threat from occurring. So this new test puts them closer to being able to hit America with a nuclear weapon. We're headed toward a preemptive war with North Korea if things don't change. China provides almost all the oil to the North Korean economy. If China denied oil to the North Korean economy tomorrow in return for their change in behavior, they could get it. So clearly China doesn't believe Trump is serious about a military engagement as a last resort. Clearly, North Korea is not listening to China. Something's got to change or we're going to have a conflict to protect the American homeland. And if there's going to be a war, it's going to be over there, not here.
Well, so then what could the change be? I mean, do you think it has to be imminent?
I think the change is to start talking with North Korea. The Chinese share the same goal as President Trump. No nuclear weapons in North Korea or South Korea. The Chinese, if they wanted to, could change behavior in North Korea tomorrow. They own their economy. There would be no nuclear North Korea without Chinese help. So President Trump is right to look to China to solve this problem. And he's telling the Chinese, don't miscalculate where I'm coming from. If I have to pick between homeland security and regional stability, I'm picking the American homeland. You see all these graphs about how the North Korean missile program can reach every city in America?
Yeah.
I want China to have a graph of what America can do in their backyard in North Korea.
Well, how does he show that then?
I think you will be seeing pretty soon some escalation of military capability. I think the president and his administration are going to begin to build up American capability to deal with the North Korean threat to our homeland. We're not trying to spread democracy to North Korea. We're not looking for regime change. We're not trying to unify South Korea and North Korea. We're trying to prevent the North Koreans from hitting America with a nuclear-tipped missile. And if it takes military action to do so, we're going to start preparing for that day. And I think you're going to see a ramp-up in military capability.
And are you on board with a ramp-up in military capability over there?
I am like 100% on board with the idea that if it takes military force to protect America from a crazy man having a nuclear weapon that can hit our homeland, so be it. I don't want a war with North Korea. It would be devastating to South Korea. It would be devastating to the region.
And you don't think that ratchets it up?
I think it makes it real to the Chinese. We're running out of options here. For 25 years, we've been begging the Chinese to help us with North Korea. We've been cutting off food. We've been giving them food. We've been sanctioning them. We've been relieving sanctions. And everything we do doesn't work. The North Koreans believe, in spite of all these sanctions, the best bet for them is to get a nuclear weapon and a missile to hit America. Donald Trump has said, rightly so, we're not going to live that way as Americans. I'm not going to let my country live under the threat of a nuclear attack from North Korea. Korea. And if I have to go to war to prevent it, I will. And if the Chinese want to help us, they need to do it quickly. And if there's going to be a war, it's going to be in China's backyard.
Do you know what that escalation will look like, though?
Just stay tuned.